Hello, my name is Tylluan. I'm a solitary pagan witch, I'm an author and the founder of the Wolf and Howl Press. And today's little chat was suggested by a listener who asked me to talk about anointing things and making them sacred. And I know there's a lot of different views on this. There's lots of things you can try. You can use oils. Olive oil was the traditional choice in ancient times. Scented oils, I suppose. There's no reason why you can't. Pass the item if it's small enough to pass it through incense, and if not, to smudge it with incense. Basically take the incense in a stick or a bunch or what have you and take it around the object. That would do for something bigger like a car, if you know. I don't know whether you want to make a car sacred, but you know what I mean. So there's quite a few things. You can leave things out under a full moon. You can perform rituals over them. But to be honest with you, I think that the most important thing you do first, don't forget to cleanse. Because, oh, that's Tapio. You've got a very loud bark for a small basset. If you cleanse it first, you're making the whole point of anointing something or making it sacred much easier. Because when we use things, and particularly if we use them for a very negative or violent or emotional purpose, I think the item will retain some of that stain on it. So whatever you do, you have to try and cleanse it first before you use it. It's a sensible thing to do. For example, I use a lot of stuff that's quite old. Things I've picked up in charity shops, things I've picked up in junk shops, things I've just picked up. And I don't know where they've been. I mean, even if you pick up a piece of wood you're going to use as a wand, well, you don't know whether it's poked somebody in the eye with it or whatever. So there's lots of things you have to think about. So begin by cleansing, always. You can cleanse again. You can use, well, not oil, but you can cleanse with incense. You can cleanse with salt water. You can cleanse with, sorry about this, with rowan berries that have been soaked in water, and you can make these things holy with blessings and rituals. You can do that yourself. But one of the most important things I find with making anything sacred is not anointing it, but in keeping it for that purpose. So if, for example, I have a knife, and I do have a knife that I use for ritual matters, but not very often because I don't need it. But then you mustn't be tempted to try and cut birthday cake with it. Not if you can help it. I mean, if you have to, you have to. And then you begin the process of cleansing it and keeping it sacred again. And tell the item what you want it to do as well. You know, it is really as simple as saying, you know, I want you, because you're talking directly to it, I want you to be sacred. I want you to be used only for this purpose, and when I use you for this purpose, I require that you XYZ. Because, you know, in ancient times it's quite surprising how often magicians and sorcerers would actually threaten items. They would even threaten gods, which sounds a bit weird and wonderful, but they did. It was a way, I think, of impressing their clients. I think it was like, oh, look at me, I'm not frightened of anything. And believe me, there's a lot of that about even now. So yes, keep your items and don't feel you have to have loads of them, because you don't. You really, really don't. A few things, tried and trusted, stick with those. Keep them to one side. Wrap them in, well, you can wrap them in almost anything. A piece of cotton, piece of silk is nice. Get a silk scarf from a charity shop. They do turn up. Get a silk scarf and wash it. Ritually cleanse it and wrap it in that. Keep your things like, I keep my crystal ball, for example, in a piece of black silk, which I find is quite nice for it. It keeps negativity away from it. I can leave it like that for a long time if I want to. But no, I think, oh, there comes Mr. Penry. He's wandering through. Yes. He's been feeding the dog, so that's why it's a bit noisy. And I think he's going to go back again in a minute. So I'll finish here now. Concentrate on getting things in the right order. Cleanse first. Tell the item what you want it to do and keep it for that purpose. And if you can't, for some reason, as I said, go back through the process again. It's not ruined. Just use it for the same process of cleansing telling it what you want to do, and then getting on with doing it, because that's a very important part. People will often have things and say, oh, this is my ritual sword. Oh, great, How often do you use it? Oh, I haven't used it yet. And you think, well, there's no point having it. Well, if you're not going to use it, don't bother. Have something else, Have a ritual, I don't know, a ritual potato peeler or something. If it suits your purpose better, use that. And that noise is the water running now. So I'm going to finish here because it's getting a little chaotic, and it's only a very simple chat, very simple ideas. But trust me, if you keep at them, they do work. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.